Hey, welcome to the latest episode of The Main Cut. I am Jade, the founder of Main Hookup, and I'm here with my amazing co-host.
I am Cataanda James, the head of education and community here at Main Hookup. And I'm here with my amazing co host.
And so this week we are going to be talking about a really big topic. It's something that we get asked questions about quite a lot, but it's how to create a hair routine on any budget. So I think we've all suffered the pain of having 100 different products in our cabinets at home and not knowing what to do with them. And Katanda's helped so many people with this. So I thought it would be a great topic that we could talk about today and figure out, regardless of what budget you have, how much money you have to spend, where you live, the stores that you have like closest to you, how can you create a hair care routine that really works for you? Or what some of the things that you need to think about. Katanda, it'd be really nice to know, like, what are some of the big questions that customers and people have asked you about this topic? Because I feel like hair care routines and hair care products are the big thing that everyone wants to try and nail and figure out for themselves.
I mean, there's a lot of discussion between myself and my clients on hair products, and I feel like natural hair sometimes takes a lot of trial and error. So people always they want to know specific products or specific brands to use. And I've had people just plainly say that it's not in their budget whatsoever,
Mm.
which is interesting because there's some type of hair care products in your budget. But I think with maybe through their experience of having to do so much trial and error with different brands or different products that come out, and there's always new collections and new lines dropping. I think their thought process is I can't try everything new that hits the
Mm.
market or hits the shelf, or I just can't try all these products to figure out like which ones I should use. So you get to the point where you either have a budget for it and you factor it in, rather monthly or bi-monthly or however often you purchase your products, or you simply say you don't have a budget and you just sort of squeeze in, like get in where you fit in type situation.
Mm.
Or there are people that actually they enjoy buying hair care products. They enjoy testing all the things. And so this is just a part of their, I guess, total shopping budget. I have gotten, more so what are the products that would work on my hair.
Yeah.
So it's not really a budget question, but I guess it gets into budget if I'm saying, okay, well, you need to go buy the most expensive curly hair brand at Sephora rather than going to Walgreens or Dwayne Reed or something like that and finding the least expensive. So I think it just depends.
Yeah. And I feel like with something like this, what tends to happen, this is something that I've seen anyway, is that people ask for the recommendations. And then, like you said, when they get them, it's like, oh, that one might not be in my budget. Is there an alternative? And I don't think budget is actually thought about at the beginning of the process. And that would be really helpful for stylists or people who are doing hair consultations at the beginning to say, okay, let's think about budget before I go off and make recommendations, because otherwise I could be making them for you twice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you say, it's almost like a second thought, but it should be at the beginning of that process so people can say,
Yeah.
actually, you know what, I don't want to spend any more than, I don't know, £60, $60
Yeah.
every 2 months on my hair products. And it's like, great, now we know what we're working with. We
Yeah.
can make recommendations that really work for not just for your hair type, but for the amount of money that you want to spend too.
Mm-hmm.
I have definitely been through my fair share of products before I found ones that actually worked. And it kind of gets to a point where you're like, I don't want to spend $10 or $15 on this thing and I don't know if it's going to work for me. I just want to know that someone's recommended it,
Yeah.
and feel confident before you try it. I think that's a lot of the problem is people will go buy something, not necessarily feel confident, and then feel like, oh, I've wasted money.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely don't want to feel like you're wasting money. I don't want you guys to waste money. On hair products, it is one of those things where I think you have to say, hey, I'm going to allocate $30 or 30 pounds to my hair care budget every month and stick to that,
Mm.
because then if you know you only have a $30 budget and some one of your favorite brands just comes out with this new groundbreaking brand or groundbreaking product line with all this amazing new technology, and you're like, "Ooh, I gotta have it." Well, you only have a $30 budget, so you can choose to utilize that just based on because it's new and it's just hitting the shelf, or
Mm.
you can go ahead and allocate your $30 to products that you have had in your regimen that you know works. And then you don't have to worry about depleting your budget and then, hey, I can't use these products anymore. And now you have to wait till the next month to tap into your hair care budget. And what are you doing in between to maintain your hair if you don't have the products?
Yeah.
So that's the question. But also, I think it's a part of hygiene. So you have budget for your body wash, your body creams and butters and lotions, and your, I know people do like a, pretty intensive skincare regimen. It's a part of your hygiene. So all of these are regimens that you actually need in your budget, because we have to stay clean, and without hygiene, we don't have good health. We don't look good, we don't feel good, we don't smell good. So yeah.
Oh, and I also think that there's a lot of questions over what are the products that we actually need versus the nice to haves. So maybe we should start there because that already helps with half of the budget problem if we're thinking about how many products should we be walking out with once we've gone into a store. So what are like the staple products that people need in their routine versus like the nice to haves?
Staple products. The number one and the number two staple, the number one, let's start with the number one. The number one staple product that you need to have, Jade, is shampoo. So shampoo, because we have to clean our scalp and hair. I don't care if you have 99 co-washes in your hair product graveyard. You need a shampoo. Natural hair, chemically relaxed hair, locks, box braids. Everyone needs a shampoo. Everyone needs a shampoo. It's like the soap that you use on your body. Everyone needs that, right? So we need that for our hair. I mean, don't use your bar soap. Well, there are bar shampoos that I absolutely love, but don't use your bar soap that you're using on your face and body on your hair. You need a designated shampoo, whether it comes in a bar form, whether it comes in a bottle, jar, squeeze tube, however they are packaging the shampoo, y'all need it. The other thing is of course, shampoo. So shampoo and conditioner go together. So of course, conditioner. So you need shampoo and conditioner. They're a bundle. They're a duo. They're best friends, partners, however you want to call it. If you want to swap out your conditioner for a mask, then shampoo and a mask.
Okay.
However, I have shampoo, conditioner, and mask.
What's the difference between what a conditioner does and what a mask does for people that don't know?
So, a conditioner is simply going to condition your hair. Every conditioner has its own benefits. It could help your hair start the detangling process. It's going to make your hair softer or feel smoother or look better, or it's going to start to, defrizz your hair. It just, conditioner is a conditioner. It has conditioning agents to simply nourish and fortify, condition your hair. So depending on the type of conditioner will determine the benefits that you are receiving and like the issues that it combats. A mask is more of an intense sort of conditioning product. It typically could be considered like a treatment. We tend to call it deep conditioner when we are looking at masks, just
Okay.
because the benefits are a little more efficacious, I guess I could say. I recommend everyone have shampoo, conditioner, and mask.
Okay.
However, if you have a tight budget, then you may want to swap out conditioner for mask, mask for conditioner, depending if your hair is damaged, if it's excessively dry, if it's breaking, if you're seeing all of these issues that determine damage to your hair or that screams my hair is damaged. Go for the mask because again, it's more efficacious, it's more conditioning, it's more of like a treatment. It is a deeper sort of penetration rather than a conditioner a lot of times. Um, if you want sort of like kill two birds with one stone, you can go with a regular traditional conditioner and
Mm.
then add heat to that. So go under a hooded dryer, use your steamer with the conditioner. However, these are things that you could also use with the mask. Some people, if their hair is super fine or if it produces a lot of natural oils itself, sometimes a mask is a little bit heavy to use continuously because it could cause like, extra buildup at the scalp.
Mm.
It could cause your hair to get really oily during your wash, like after wash day. So you may need to shampoo and then do this whole process over again. If it is too much for your hair, because again, it is like, I guess it's like a conditioner times 1,000. I want to say a conditioner on steroids, but we don't promote drugs here. So it's a conditioner on 1,000. So yeah, someone that has really fine hair or maybe straighter fine hair, maybe a mask is not the best to do every single time. So you will opt in for a conditioner and a mask. But those are the absolute necessary products: shampoo, conditioner, and mask, or shampoo, conditioner, and or mask.
Yeah.
Getting into the styling products, those are necessities too, depending on the hairstyles that you're rocking. However, staple, because there are so many styling products, I can't really say these are staples to have. Maybe not really a styling product, but it is sort of like in between, like it preps your hair for the styling products after the conditioner or the mask. Maybe would be a leave-in conditioner. So it also helps to, help you to retain the moisture in your hair. So it's an extra added layer of conditioning prior to the styling. But so many styling products, we can go foam, we can go cream, we can go gel, we could go mousse, we could go spray, hairspray. Like there's so many
There's,
things that I don't necessarily deem styling products as a staple in general, like
mm,
generally speaking. There are, I would say, when we are specifically speaking to a certain hairstyle, there are staple styling
okay.
products. But staple, your wash day staple, shampoo, please, conditioner, mask, and that's three products that are a staple that you always have to have. You don't really want to switch out those for. You always want to have the shampoo, conditioner, and or mask.
Yeah. Well, question, because I know this is something that I've always asked in the past. What is the difference between normal conditioner, deep conditioner, leave-in conditioner? Because I feel like I would go to the shop with this information and be like, great, I've got a shampoo. I need a conditioner and I don't know which one I should spend my
Oh,
money
that's a
on.
good
So
question.
what is the difference between those three?
Yeah, that's a good question because they all say conditioner or some form of the word
Mm,
conditioner. So you'll get confused and maybe say, "Oh, I'm going to get my shampoo and this leave-in conditioner and out the door."
yeah.
Yeah, no, don't do that. So your shampoo pairs with the conditioner and the mask. Then you have the leave-in, which is sort of like the primer to the styler. It
Right.
helps prep your hair to receive the styling products, or it helps prep your hair to further enhance the performance of the styling products.
Mm,
So the best way to describe the difference would be probably the form that it's in or the texture that it's in.
okay.
Masks tend to be thicker in viscosity than conditioners. Conditioners seem to be a little bit tend to be a little bit looser than the mask. Mask for most brands are typically in a jar.
Mm.
Whereas, I mean, there are some conditioners that come in jars, but they're more of like they'll call it a deep conditioner if they don't call it a mask.
Yeah.
Mask is just, well, words matter and definitions matter. I don't know the Webster dictionary version of the word mask right now, but mask is pretty much like the more intense form of the conditioner.
Okay.
The leave-in conditioner is like the prep for the styler. So it's a primer. So if you think of makeup, you
Okay.
use a primer. So you cleanse your face. That's your facial wash, which is your shampoo to your hair.
Mm.
You then use a toner on your skin. There are some toners for the hair, but we're not including that in the staples. That's an extra added like treat for your hair. And then after that, you moisturize your hair, which you could think of the moisturizer as the conditioner to your face, to conditioner to your skin.
Mm.
So then you have the primer, which is going to prep your face to receive the makeup application, like the foundation or the concealer or the skin tint or whatever it is you're using. So it helps to further nourish the skin. So it might help to even out the texture of the skin. So it'll
Mm.
fill in like some fine lines if you have them, or some larger pores if you have them. It kind of fills that in so everything's nice and smooth.
Mm.
That's what the leave-in conditioner will do for your hair. So it's
Right.
actually helping to soothe that cuticle if you have, especially, really damaged hair. It helps to further seal that cuticle, lay that cuticle flat, because your cuticle are like, if you think of little shingles, they raise up. So you want to smooth it because that's what leaves the hair nice and smooth. It feels really smooth, soft. It keeps it pliable, keeps it, elasticity there. So the leave-in conditioner can help encourage elasticity in the hair, hydration, and moisture in the hair. However, they're all conditioners. So even starting with a shampoo, you have conditioning agents too in a lot of shampoos. Not unless you're getting into like really clarifying shampoos. That's a whole other conversation. But generally speaking, you have conditioning agents also in shampoos.
Mm-hmm.
So the conditioning process is essential to any hair type, any hair style later on. You want to start that conditioning, that nourishing immediately. Sort of like just our bodies. We're drinking water. That's kind of helping to condition us, to condition our organs and things like that. So the same thing with the hair. You want to always encourage the conditioning aspect. So I don't know if that answers the question because they're all conditioners, but they have their place. A
Yeah.
rinse out conditioner, this is where you want to pay attention to the labels on your packaging. It will specifically tell you this is a rinse out. If you see that it says apply to the hair, rinse out in 3 to 5 minutes later, that's a rinse out conditioner. That's a
Mm-hmm.
traditional conditioner. You look at the mask and it says apply to wet hair after apply to clean wet hair and leave in up to 15 minutes with heat.
Mm.
Then you're like, okay, this is a deep conditioner, which deep conditioners actually typically mean a hair mask, because it's going deeper into the layers of the hair.
Mm.
Leave in, it'll say simply apply to the hair, leave in. Some will even go as far as to say, do not rinse.
Mm.
So there's your cue. You're leaving it in. You're leaving conditioner. So if you are someone that just has no clue, you always want a conditioner and you want a leave-in. Or you always want a mask and you want a leave-in.
Okay.
You don't want just the leave-in without the two middle people, the mask or the conditioner.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. So we know what our staples are now. And I think that's like a really good starting point, because if we know those are our staples, then the next stage is like, how do we start to think about like budgeting and where we should go and how we should like go about choosing brands? Because
Mhm.
it's a kind of a mix of two things. Is looking at the different types of brands, like, are they budget? Are they kind of like mid-tier spend? Are they like
Mhm.
high-end spend? And like, where do you go to find those products? So what kind of stores do you go to? Do you go to, like you said, a drugstore, special hair shops? So I think now that we have the staples, we've got the shampoo, we've got the conditioner and the mask or the deep conditioner, then we're like, great.
Mhm.
Next is, where do I go? And how do I start thinking about
How do
pulling a
I
budget
shop?
together?
You have many options these days. It used to be that certain types of products, whether it be mid, luxury, premier, you couldn't shop those all in the same place.
Mm,
And you definitely couldn't have what we call drugstore brands in those same places. Now they're selling everything everywhere. Like you can
mm,
go to TJ Maxx, you can go to Ross, you can go to Burlington Coat Factory, you can go to Marshalls, and you have all of these premier, prestige, mid tier in the same retailer.
mm.
So it's not necessarily about where you find it, because if I find, I don't know, Orbe at Marshall's, I'm picking it up. Only because I'm a product junkie. I don't use that as part of my regimen, but it's amazing. The packaging looks cool on my shelf. I'm just a product junkie, so I'm getting it, and I got it at a discounted price because it's very expensive. That's a product that you're not going to find. You're really not going to find it in those specialty. Oh, they're called discount stores, I think. You're not going to
Yeah.
find it there. However, sometimes you will look up and find some random things there. I don't know how they show up on the shelf there, but sometimes you do. I'm just saying that to say, like, if you're in CVS
Mm,
or Dwayne Reed, which is pretty much drugstore, pharmacy sort of retailer, you're not going to find Dior hair care on the shelf there. I don't even think
mm.
they have Dior hair care, but that's just a way to explain a luxury designer hair care brand will not be sold in CVS or in a
Yeah.
drugstore. So starting in those stores, you can find some amazing products, some amazing formulas that I use myself. I absolutely love. I will tell my clients, I will tell my family about these products because I just love to share the love of products that I know about. But you will find brands there that the range would be anywhere from, I mean, if you're in Walmart, maybe $3.99 to probably $9.99,
Okay.
$10.99 sometimes. I think some of the multicultural hair care, it probably goes up to like $14.99. So somewhere
Right.
in that range. Anything beyond that will be more of like your mid tier or like your specialty brands.
Yeah.
Um, but again, some of these brands are now sold at the drugstore. But the
Mhm.
range, it's the price range that you're looking for. Those are like upwards of $15,
Okay.
$20, even $25.99 maybe. And then you have products like Sacred.
Mm.
I didn't want to name names here, so scratch that. Then you have products and brands like some of our celebrity hair care brands that are sold in specialty stores like Sephora,
Mm.
or hair care brands that are professional products, but now they're selling
To
to like
consumers.
just general customer. You don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
you no longer have to go into a licensed hair care professional brand store where you have to be licensed to pick it up.
Yeah.
So those would be upwards generally of that price. Now, those aren't necessarily luxury designer, but they are professional. So you're going to pay more for those because
Mm.
they're different, formulas and different strengths and things like that. Those products are like anywhere above $25. Now, this is just me saying just based on the range. But for someone else, a $15 product, or say a $15 8-ounce shampoo, for them, that could mean that's luxury because they only have $5.99 or $4.99 on their budget to spend. So it's also based on like where you are individually with this sort of budget plan, how you deem your hair care products. Some people look to having very quality ingredients, and some people just simply don't care. If it I don't care what the ingredients are. If it does what I need it to do to my hair, if it's going to smooth it, if it's going to define the curl, if it's going to defrizz my hair, if it's going to give me moisture retention, if it costs $6.99, I'm good with that. I am one of those customers. If it works because I know like the behind the scenes things that happen when developing products. And you don't necessarily need a $45 bottle of shampoo to have amazing hair. So
yeah, no, that's really true. And I think one of the things, so we've already mentioned this, that people don't necessarily think about budget when they walk into this process, all the kind of products that they need. So I think two big questions have been answered. One is think about your budget, how much you ideally want to spend. Think about the fact that you need at least 3 products, basically. What other questions should people be asking themselves before they decide on what their actual budget is? Because they need to decide how much they're willing to part with, whether it be every month. I think I end up buying my products every 2 to 3 months, to be fair. They usually last a while, but that's also because my hair is usually in braids. So it's not the same as like having to do my hair every like 2 weeks, you know? So for people who are wondering what other questions they should be asking themselves, what do you recommend they ask before they start deciding on a solid number?
one of the things is, how often are you cleansing your scalp and doing this regimen? Like, how often do you have wash day, or how often are you washing your hair? If you're having it more frequently, obviously you're going to have to repurchase your product more frequently. If you're one of those people, and we don't encourage this, I know you aren't, Jade, but if anyone listening is one of those people that rarely shampoos their hair, or that goes a whole month without shampooing their hair, you'll save a lot on your product regimen, and you could probably lower your budget because of that. But on a regular basis, you should at least be shampooing and doing your full on wash day regimen between 7 and 10 days. If you are wearing a protective style, maybe not so much, but there's other products that you actually need to make sure that you have in your regimen that you're utilizing in place of a full-on shampoo and conditioner while you're in those protective styles. There are products like serums, and there are spray refreshers that help to cleanse and the residue off the scalp and revitalize and addresses the dry flakiness that you might be seeing. However, full-on shampoo and conditioner, I'm trying to figure out how to say this lightly, but there's really no way. You have to shampoo and condition your hair frequently enough. So I think everyone's different when it comes to budget. Everyone utilizes their products differently. Like, I know I slather on, because I like to see a good lather on my hair when I'm shampooing my hair. So I slather things on when I'm just plainly doing my hair. Everyone is different because their wash day schedules are different. The amount of product they're using are different. Not only that, the length of your hair, how often you're shampooing, but the density of your hair. So if your hair is more fine, you need less shampoo, less conditioner, less product. If your hair is thicker, denser, curlier, you need a whole lot more. So you have to sort of get yourself on a routine so you can help figure the budget easier, because I don't have a budget. I don't have a budget because I get so much product from everyone, for working, testing, using, creating content. However, it's one of those things. Maybe I guess we call it a miscellaneous expense in the budget, because if I at any given moment, if I'm in a store and I see something, it could be a product that I love that's on sale and I already have two at home. I'm still going to get it because I know that I love it. My hair loves it and I'm going to use it. So I think it's just a matter of figuring out your shampoo wash day schedule, determining how often, trying to keep a watch on how often you're going through certain products,
Mm,
and then making a list so that when you do go to the store, it'll keep you on budget. If you know that typically most people run out of their conditioner, if it's the same size, most people run out of their conditioner before they run out of the shampoo.
mm,
So if you're low on your conditioner, you might have still a half bottle left of shampoo. If you're low on your conditioner, you need to buy it more frequently. Then you need to include that or factor that into your budget. The mask, typically a mask, you can go longer without the mask because you're not necessarily using it every time. But if you are a person that uses the mask every single time you're shampooing your hair, then you'll still need to pick that up more often. But I just think it's based on you. You have to pay attention. You have to keep it top of mind, like you're
mm,
keeping everything else top of mind, because you don't want to get into your wash day and you have no conditioner whatsoever in the bottle or anywhere in your house, and now your hair is not going to easily detangle. It is
mm,
going to probably get dry because you haven't conditioned it and nourished it with that extra step there. It's just like really pay attention to what's going on, and maybe write it down, take a journal. I tell people when I'm doing coaching classes, have a hair journal. Take a hair journal, write all these things down. It will help you in the long run if you want to make sure that you have healthy hair, that you're cleansing your scalp properly, that you are staying within budget. That's a lot to remember, just by
mm.
memory. So write it down in your hair journal and then you'll always have it.
Yeah, and also, like you said, it's the how often people have to buy products, so what their, like you said, what their wash day routine looks like. But I also feel like there should be the same way that we have a bit of an emergency budget.
Mm-hmm.
If people have the money to do so, it's like, do you have a little extra bit of budget for the, oh, I'd like to try this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you have the money for all of the staples. Let's say you restock your shampoo, your conditioner,
Mm-hmm.
your like deep conditioner, your cleanser. You do that every 2 months. But then
Mm-hmm.
something comes out and you're like, oh, I want to try that. Or you decide to get braids or a
Yeah.
protective style. And you're like, oh, I need a new product to take care
Mm-hmm.
of this style. I feel like there should always be like a teeny bit extra for those
Yeah.
things. Because like I've got a braids in at the moment, and I had no idea that my stylist was going to recommend getting a mousse to take care of the hair. I was like, oh, okay, I don't usually
Yeah.
buy mousse, so what should I be buying? Where should I get it
Mm,
from? Like, what brand should I use? How much
yeah.
will it cost? I hadn't factored that in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so actually, another good question would be, what kind of products should people have for protective styles like braids? Or if they have something like a weave or a wig, what are some products that people should look at getting to maintain and look after those protective styles?
That is a very loaded question because there are so many protective styles. There's so many different types of braids, like the type of braids
Mm,
that you have in now. Well, for those of you that are listening and maybe watching, she hasn't got us braids. Some people call them bore braids. Some people call them boho braids, but it's
mm,
the braid, and then you have the loose strands out, free from the braid, and it's nice and curly, like it looks amazing. So if you have those types of braids, you probably would need a mousse, like your hairstylist told you. But if you have box braids, you may not necessarily need a mousse. So it just
mm,
depends on how you're wearing your hair and what protective style you're wearing. I would just say that you do definitely, I mean, we spoke about the staples being shampoo, conditioner, and or hair mask, and possibly a leave-in, but you also need styling products. And I didn't include those into the staples because it changes per style. Like If I'm wearing my natural hair silk press, I will need different styling products than Jade will need when she's wearing her braids.
Mm.
So I think maybe that I'll just give you the forms, and then I think this could definitely be another topic for a later podcast because there's so many. But if you're wearing, protective styles, I think the key is paying attention to the texture of the product. Meaning, is it a cream? Is it a liquid spray-in? Is it foam or mousse? Is it I don't know. Sometimes you need like a solid stick form to lay down some flyaways if you're rocking a silk press. You do need a budget for your styling products. That is where it could get a lot more expensive because
Mm.
depending on the style you're wearing, depending on the protective style, or if you're wearing your hair just naturally free, it could mean that you are changing up your hair all the time and you're needing several different styling products in your repertoire of styling products. So that's where you do need to figure in an additional, like maybe $10 at the
Mm.
least into your budget bi-monthly or bi-weekly, however often you're buying these products, to set aside for styling products because you might,
Mm.
for 2 months you might be in your braids, or for 3 months you might be in your braids and you only have braid sprays and you have mousse and you have like a scalp serum to help soothe the scalp and rid your scalp of residue. But now you are thinking to, oh, I'm going to wear my hair in, I don't know, I'm going to wear wash and go.
Mm.
You might be able to use some of those products with your wash and go, but you probably need a product that's specific to defining the curls, specific to giving you a little bit of hold and shape memory because you're wearing your wash and go, and you want to make sure that it's not, super frizzy. So you are
Mm.
controlling the frizz, and it does have shape memory because you don't want to have to like restyle your hair every day. So it just depends. It's not a question of styling products being staples. It's just mainly you're purchasing and you're having on hand, I guess, the products that actually address the styles that you most frequently wear. If
Mm.
you're getting like a one-off style, you may not necessarily need the full, regimen. You may just need to buy the one single product for that particular moment. But it's always a good idea to have extra money in your budget because you never know what might happen. Over time, different things happen with our hair. Like even if we're traveling, we're going to a different climate, or
Mm.
you want to make sure that you have products that will help. So if you're in a dry, it's winter time and you're in a dry, cold environment, and you're going to, I don't know, Jamaica for vacation, you want to make sure that you have products that you're going to be able to use in that climate. Like your edge control that you're using in this dry, cold climate may not work in Jamaica. It may not lay those edges like you think it's going to lay your edges. So you might need to have something a little more firm hold, a little more,
Mm.
of a intense sort of stronger formula in the edge control. Because I tell you, sometimes hot, humid places, the products don't work because maybe they haven't been tested for that climate, or
Mm.
it's a lot of reasons. We won't get into that, but make sure you have products that will take you many places, will address many styles. Like you never want to be without proper products because anything can happen at the last minute, and you need to have something on hand that's going to help to keep your hair where it needs to be.
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway I have from this is it's really important to actually ask your stylist what you should be doing in terms of products, right? Because you will go through all of your seasons and all of your hairstyles with them. So that's much easier for you to say to them, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go through a season with braids now. I'm going to do that for like the next 6 months because I feel like it, or
Yeah.
because I don't want to deal with my natural hair for a few months and I want to like largely have it in braids. So what are the products that I should be using to look after my hair while it's braided, or what should I be using when it's my natural hair, or oh, I'm thinking about getting this wig. And so when you're able to have that conversation, you can actually start to get recommendations about the types, at least the type of product you should buy, maybe then the brand then comes down to your budget.
Yeah.
So, and you can even say that to them and be like, look, you've given me 5 product recommendations, but my budget is X. Like,
Mhm.
what brands should I go to based on that? And you can even get a recommendation based on brands by your budget. So,
Yeah.
the key takeaway from me is as much as it's very easy to become a product junkie, it's very easy to just like go into a shop and buy these different things. If you don't have that guidance at the beginning, that's where you can end up wasting a lot of money. And like, because these products aren't cheap, it all adds
Mhm.
up. Even if you have a lower budget, 3 4
Mhm.
products could still cost you like $30 $40, and you
Mhm.
don't want to throw that away and have it sitting on your shelf and be like, oh, I can't use this because it's not actually the right thing that I needed, or it's not the best for my particular hair texture or the style that I have in right now. Had I not known to go, and this might seem like stupid secondhand knowledge to people, but I had no idea that I needed to get mousse for these braids because I don't wear, like, I don't really do weaves, I don't do wigs, I usually do braids on my natural hair. So had no idea. If I hadn't asked, I probably wouldn't have gotten a mousse, I might have gotten a spray. Maybe the spray would have
Mhm.
been okay, but it might not have done the job and helped me keep the braids for like a couple of months because these are not cheap. So I wanted to keep them in for a couple of months. So,
Yeah.
it's really important to have those conversations with your stylist or with a stylist to
Mhm.
get the right information so you can go out and make better decisions about the products that you're buying before you even get there.
Yeah. That is definitely a conversation you want to have with your stylist. Um, because they typically have their favorite products. They also have their products that they've been using in your hair and they know what works best
Yeah.
for your hair and what works best on your hair. And a lot of times in the salon, they will have the products right there that they could recommend. They could explain how to use even before you leave the salon. So it's not like you're going to the store. You might have the same brand with multiple different versions of a product type and your stylist wasn't necessarily specific. So now you have to go back to her or him to say, hey, which one exactly do I get? So get the specifics, the brand, the specific names of the products if you can. If they have the products in salon, take a picture. If they're selling the products in salon, purchase the product from your stylist. Um,
Mm,
because again, they can explain everything to you, how to use the products. They could demonstrate, like if you're in Jade's situation, like she just recently got these braids that she never had before, so they could demo how to utilize the product for your particular style. Your stylist has a lot of valuable information that you need to tap into. So anytime you're in the chair, anytime you visit your stylist, ask all the questions. Product recommendations from the stylist is probably the best place to go if you do actually have a stylist on hand that you can ask.
mm,
Just because, again, they know your hair. They know your hair just as well as you do, sometimes even better than you do, because, that's what they do day in and day out. So definitely ask your stylist. I would also say if you're a person and you don't have a stylist, you're not visiting a stylist, um, you can find a lot online, not necessarily, different social media platforms, but if you just Google a certain thing, if you Google a certain product, what I do know is brands specifically have educational information on their specific products, and
mm,
they will tell you everything that you need to know, starting with the ingredients, explaining to you, the benefits, the key callouts, the key benefits of the products, how to use, what's better to use. A lot of times they do have little short demos on there that you can watch. So you're getting it direct from the brand, and the brand knows best about the product because, again, they've created the formulas and they've tested it day in and day out. So they know specifically who this works best for and on what type of hair, what hairstyle it works best for. So that could be your backup plan to asking your stylist. If you don't have a stylist, then go online. But don't go to your next door neighbor's blog page necessarily, because that's how the product works on your next door neighbor's hair. You
Yeah.
guys don't have the same head of hair. Your next door neighbor is more than likely not an expert in hair, not unless it's me. But but typically they're not. So I suggest going to your stylist, like Jade said, but definitely going to the actual brand website to find out all the information that you need to know. Also, brand websites have customer service numbers. I don't know why y'all don't be hitting up the customer service line, but that's what the customer service line is for. If you have any questions about any product, call customer service. They have trained hairstylists working for these brands that can tell you and advise you, even in a crisis moment, like hair color boxes. Customer service, you decided, oh, I'm gonna color these grays before I have to go to my friend's wedding. I don't have time to go to my stylist, and then you end up in a situation where you don't know what to do. Call the customer service line. That's what they're there for, and trust me, they're very helpful. So go to your hairstylist first. Can't If you don't have a hairstylist or can't get to your hairstylist, go to the brand website and get your information there. If you've already used something that you probably had no business using or trying prior to asking any of these experts, then you go to customer service and say, hey, I have this situation and I need your help. And there are people to help with these. You don't have to make decisions on your own. You don't have to feel alone. You don't even have to feel alone anymore in the store. I know Target, they have beauty advisors. Almost every retailer now has beauty advisors. Ulta has beauty advisors. Sephora, like there's always someone there in place for you to help. But if you guys don't ask us, or you go on to try to figure things out on your own, then you won't get the answers. So
Yeah, no, that is very true. Well, I think it would be great to hear what questions anybody has about creating a budget in the comments. Like, if you have any questions, then like feel free to drop them in the comments, regardless of like what platform, whether you're listening to us on Spotify or you've got us on Substack. Just drop a message and let us know what your hair product questions are, because I think we've covered some of the big questions about creating a routine. Like, what is your budget? How often do you need to like look after your hair? How often are you washing? How often do you go through your hair care routine? And like I said, have the conversation with your stylist. Think about the staple products that you need and the types of brands that you typically go for. All of these questions to ask, but I'm sure there are many, many, many others that people have. So if you do have any more, let us know and we will get back to you with more answers. But Cataanda, if there's any other gems that you could drop with people before we wrap this one up, what is the one thing you want people to remember from this episode? What's the one thing you want them to bear in mind when they're thinking about their hair care budget?
can you repeat that? The one thing that
You want people to remember from this episode to like bear in mind for their hair care budget?
the one thing I'd say to keep in mind is your staple products. You have to shampoo, you have to cleanse your scalp and hair. So I feel like that is a start to your healthy hair care plan, regardless of what the styling products look like, or regardless of what the style is you're going to be wearing. If it's a protective style, if it's, wash and go, you need your staples: shampoo, conditioner, and or mask, and then possibly leave in the first three: shampoo, conditioner, mask. You at least need two of those. You don't need a conditioner and a mask without the shampoo. First and foremost, shampoo, please, and then condition and or mask, and then your leave-in. Also, the other thing is it's okay to feel like, I try this product and it's not working, because that could happen, especially if you're just a person that likes to try new things. But it's okay to do trial and error, because I mean, a lot of things in life we trial and error. When it comes to your hair care, you may not necessarily know that something will work unless you stumble upon it. So it could be a situation where you're trying this out, your hairstylist hasn't told you anything about it, you haven't been to the company website, but you're in the store, you're reading the labels, and you're like, hey, I think this could work. It's okay to try it. If it doesn't work, then maybe try it in a different way. If it doesn't work, maybe then take it to your hairstylist to say, hey, I bought this product, I think it's really good, maybe you could show me how to use it, so that I get the best results. And that's always an option too. The other thing is, please read your labels. It's a cheat sheet to everything. Everything's on the label. I know sometimes we feel like ingredients are changing, labels are changing. Doesn't matter what they change the label to, still read it. It is there for a reason. Read your label. It is your cheat sheet. It will tell you, it tells you a lot. It will say, for dry, frizzy hair. Bingo. If you have dry, frizzy hair, oh, this probably works for me. If you have dry, frizzy hair and it says for straight, fine hair, you probably know that you don't want to get that product. So pay attention to your labels as well. So keep your staple products on hand, pay attention, and read your labels in the store, wherever you are.
Okay, I feel like that's really good advice that probably half of us don't really pay attention to. I feel like a lot of us get caught on products based on how the brand looks and a few words on the front versus like the detail on the back. So
Yeah.
if there's anything that people take away, then please take that away from today's chat. But like I said, please, please, please leave questions in the comments if you have any, and we will circle back to as many of you as we can with answers. Or if we don't have answers ourselves, we will try and direct you to people who do, because we don't know everything. So, but a big thank you to everybody that has listened along for this entire episode. It has been great. Thank you, Cataanda, for all of your great answers, because this is something that I have more questions on than anything else. So we always appreciate you for being like the fountain of knowledge that we have on the inside. So a huge thank you to everybody who's listening, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye. Thank you.